In the peaceful kingdom of Eldoria, there lived a kind and brave young princess named Isla. Princess Isla loved exploring the forests and talking to the animals, but there was one thing that she loved most of all: birds. She would spend hours watching them fly, listening to their songs, and learning from their ways. The birds seemed to understand her, and they often came to her when they needed help. One sunny morning, while Isla was in her garden, a wise old owl named Orion flew down to her. Orion was known as the wisest bird in all of Eldoria, and whenever he visited, it meant something important was about to happen. "Good morning, Orion." Isla greeted him with a smile. "What brings you here today?" Orion perched on a nearby tree and looked at her with his big, wise eyes. "Princess Isla," he began, "I have come to tell you about the feathered crown, a treasure of great power and wisdom." Isla's eyes widened with curiosity. "The feathered crown? What is it?" The feathered crown is a magical crown made from the feathers of the rarest and wisest birds in the world. It is said that whoever wears the crown will gain the wisdom of all the birds in the world, Orion explained. Isla was amazed. "That sounds incredible. But where is the crown?" "No one knows for sure," Orion replied. "But it is hidden somewhere deep in the enchanted forest, guarded by the ancient guardian of feathers. Many have tried to find it, but none have succeeded." Isla thought for a moment. "If the crown gives wisdom, it could help me be a better princess. I could use its wisdom to help my people and protect the animals. I must find it." Orion nodded. "But beware, Princess Isla. You are not the only one searching for the crown. There are others who want its power for themselves. You must be brave and wise on your journey." Determined, Isla gathered her things and prepared for the quest. She packed a small bag with food, water, and a map of the enchanted forest. She also took her special flute, which she used to call her bird friends. As she was about to leave, her loyal horse, Star, trotted over to her. "Are you ready for an adventure?" Star Isla asked, petting his mane. Star neighed softly, as if to say, "Always." With Orion guiding them, Isla and Star set off towards the enchanted forest. The journey was long, and the forest was known to be full of mysteries and dangers, but Isla was determined to find the feathered crown. After a day of travel, they reached the edge of the enchanted forest. The trees were tall and thick, and the air was filled with the songs of countless birds. As they entered the forest, Isla noticed how the birds seemed to be watching her, as if they knew who she was and why she had come. They traveled deeper into the forest, following the winding paths. Along the way, they encountered various animals: deer, rabbits, and even a family of foxes. They all greeted Isla kindly, for they knew she was a friend to the animals. But as they ventured further, the forest grew darker and more mysterious. The trees seemed to close in around them, and strange noises echoed through the air. Isla could feel that they were being watched, but by what, she did not know. Suddenly, they heard a rustling in the bushes. Isla stopped and held her breath, listening carefully. Out of the bushes stepped a figure dressed in dark robes, with a hood covering his face. He was tall and mysterious, and he carried a staff with a glowing crystal at the top. "Who are you?" Isla asked, keeping her distance. The figure raised his head, revealing a face covered in shadows. "I am Malcor, a sorcerer of the dark arts," he said in a deep, eerie voice. "I seek the feathered crown, and I will stop at nothing to obtain it." Isla's heart raced. She had heard stories of Malcor, a sorcerer who used his magic for evil and sought power above all else. She knew she had to be careful. The feathered crown is meant for those who seek wisdom, not power, Isla said firmly. "You cannot have it," Malcor chuckled darkly. "We shall see about that." Princess, with a wave of his staff, a dark mist began to swirl around him, and he disappeared into the shadows of the forest. Isla felt a chill run down her spine. She knew Malcor would be a dangerous foe, and she would need to be on guard, but she also knew she couldn't let him get to the crown first. They continued their journey, with Orion flying ahead to scout the path. As they traveled, Isla noticed that the birds in the forest were starting to follow them. Sparrows, robins, and even eagles flew above, guiding her through the thick trees. After hours of walking, they reached a clearing in the forest. In the center of the clearing was a tall, ancient tree with golden leaves. The tree seemed to glow with a magical light, and at its base was a small, shimmering pond. Orion landed on a branch and called out to Isla. "This is the tree of wisdom," he said. It is said that those who seek the feathered crown must prove their wisdom here. Isla approached the tree and knelt by the pond. As she looked into the water, she saw her reflection, but it was different. In the reflection, her eyes were bright, and her face was calm and peaceful. Suddenly, the water rippled, and a soft voice spoke from the pond. "Princess Isla, why do you seek the feathered crown?" Isla was surprised by the question but answered truthfully. "I seek the feathered crown to gain the wisdom of the birds, so I can be a better princess and help my people and the animals." The voice was silent for a moment, then spoke again. "Wisdom is not just about knowing many things. It is about understanding the hearts of others and using that knowledge to do good. Do you understand this?" Isla nodded. "Yes, I understand. Wisdom is not just for me, it is for everyone." The voice seemed pleased with her answer. "Then you may continue your quest. But remember, the true power of wisdom lies in how you use it." With that, the water became still again, and Isla's reflection returned to normal. She felt a new sense of purpose in her heart. She knew that finding the crown was important, but even more important was how she would use its wisdom. As they left the clearing, they noticed that the forest seemed to be guiding them. The trees parted to create a path, and the birds flew ahead, leading the way. Isla knew they were getting closer to the crown. After a while, they came to a steep hill covered in vines and flowers. At the top of the hill was a cave entrance, hidden by a curtain of ivy. Isla felt a strong sense of magic coming from the cave. "This must be it," she whispered. "The guardian of feathers must be inside." She dismounted from Star and carefully approached the cave. As she stepped inside, the air grew cooler, and the light from outside dimmed. The walls of the cave were lined with glowing feathers, each one shimmering with a different color. In the center of the cave was a large stone pedestal, and on it rested the feathered crown. The crown was even more beautiful than Isla had imagined. It was made of golden feathers, with a jewel-encrusted band, and it sparkled with a magical light. But before Isla could take a step closer, a loud, booming voice echoed through the cave. "Who dares enter my domain?" From the shadows emerged the guardian of feathers, a majestic phoenix with fiery red and gold feathers. Its eyes were like glowing embers, and its wings spread wide, filling the cave with light. "I am Princess Isla of Eldoria," Isla said, bowing respectfully. "I seek the feathered crown, not for power, but for wisdom. I wish to use its wisdom to help my people and protect the animals of my kingdom." The phoenix studied her with its fiery eyes. "Many have come seeking the crown, but few have been worthy. Why should I give it to you?" Isla thought carefully before answering. "I have learned that true wisdom is not just about knowledge, but about understanding others and using that understanding to do good. I promise to use the crown's wisdom to make the world a better place, not just for myself but for everyone." The phoenix nodded slowly. "You speak with sincerity, Princess Isla. But before I can give you the crown, you must prove your worthiness by answering this riddle." Isla listened intently as the phoenix recited the riddle. "I speak without a mouth and hear without ears. I have no body, but I come alive with the wind. What am I?" Isla thought hard about the riddle. She knew it had something to do with the wind and sound, but what could it be? Then she remembered how the wind would whistle through the trees, creating melodies that only the birds seemed to understand. She smiled and looked at the phoenix. "The answer is an echo." The phoenix's eyes glowed with approval. "You are correct, Princess Isla. You have proven your wisdom and worthiness. The feathered crown is yours." The phoenix lifted the crown from the pedestal with its beak and gently placed it on Isla's head. As soon as the crown touched her hair, Isla felt a surge of warmth and light. It was as if she could feel the knowledge and wisdom of all the birds in the world flowing into her mind. Their songs, their stories, their secrets all became part of her. She understood things she never had before, and her heart swelled with the responsibility that came with such wisdom. The phoenix bowed its head. "Princess Isla, you are now the bearer of the feathered crown. Use its power wisely and always remember that wisdom is a gift meant to be shared." "Thank you, Guardian of Feathers," Isla said with deep gratitude. "I will honor the wisdom of the crown and use it to help others." As she turned to leave the cave, Isla felt a renewed sense of purpose. She knew the journey was far from over, for now she had to protect the crown and ensure it was used for good. But as she stepped outside, she was reminded of Malcor, the dark sorcerer who also sought the crown. She couldn't let him get to it. Just as she began her descent down the hill, a dark shadow fell over the forest. The birds scattered, chirping in alarm, and the air grew cold. Isla's heart sank as she realized who it was Malcor had found her. From the shadows of the trees, Malcor emerged, his eyes glowing with dark magic. "So, you found the crown," he sneered. "But you won't keep it for long." Isla stood her ground, feeling the strength of the crown and the wisdom it granted her. "Malcor, the feathered crown is not for those who seek power. It is meant for those who wish to do good. I will not let you take it." Malcor's face twisted with anger. "Foolish girl. You don't understand the true power of the crown. With it, I could rule all of Eldoria and beyond. Hand it over, or I will take it by force." Isla knew she had to protect the crown, not just for herself, but for the entire kingdom. She quickly raised her flute to her lips and played a melody that echoed through the forest. It was a call for help, a call to her bird friends. Within moments, the sky darkened with the wings of countless birds. Eagles, hawks, ravens, and even the smallest sparrows came to her aid. They circled around Malcor, their cries filling the air as they swooped down to distract and confuse him. Malcor raised his staff, trying to cast a spell, but the birds were too fast. They darted in and out, pecking at him and pulling at his robes. He stumbled back, trying to fend them off, but the sheer number of them overwhelmed him. Taking advantage of the chaos, Isla quickly mounted Star and urged him to run. They raced through the forest, with the birds flying alongside them, creating a barrier between her and Malcor. She knew she had to get back to her kingdom, where the crown could be kept safe. But Malcor wasn't about to give up. With a roar of frustration, he summoned a powerful gust of wind that blew the birds away. He pointed his staff at Isla, sending a bolt of dark magic towards her. Just as the bolt was about to hit, the feathered crown glowed with a brilliant light. The light formed a shield around Isla, deflecting the dark magic and sending it back towards Malcor. The sorcerer screamed in pain as the magic struck him, and he fell to the ground, weakened and defeated. The birds, seeing their enemy vanquished, let out a triumphant chorus of song. They circled around Isla and Star, guiding them safely out of the forest and back towards the kingdom. When Isla finally reached the gates of Eldoria, she was greeted by her parents, King Eldric and Queen Leora, who had been anxiously awaiting her return. The entire kingdom had gathered to welcome their princess back home. "Princess Isla," the king exclaimed as he rushed to embrace her. "We were so worried. Did you find the feathered crown?" Isla smiled and nodded, showing them the crown that rested upon her head. "Yes, father, I found it. But it's not just a treasure, it's a gift of wisdom that I will use to help our people and all the creatures of the kingdom." The queen, with tears in her eyes, placed her hands on Isla's shoulders. "You have done something truly remarkable, my dear. You have proven yourself to be a wise and noble princess. The wisdom of the birds is now yours, and with it you will lead our kingdom into a bright future." That evening, a grand celebration was held in honor of Isla's successful quest. The people of Eldoria gathered in the palace courtyard, where they feasted and danced under the stars. The birds, who had played such an important role in Isla's journey, perched on the palace walls, singing joyful melodies that filled the night air. As the celebration continued, Isla stood on the balcony of the palace, looking out over her kingdom. She felt a deep sense of peace and fulfillment, knowing that she had fulfilled her quest and protected the feathered crown from falling into the wrong hands. But more than that, she knew that the wisdom she had gained was just the beginning. She had learned that true wisdom wasn't about being the smartest or knowing the most. It was about understanding others, showing kindness, and using knowledge to make the world a better place. From that day on, Princess Isla became known as the wise princess of Eldoria. She used the wisdom of the feathered crown to help her people, solve problems, and bring harmony to the kingdom. And whenever she needed guidance, she would turn to the birds, who continued to be her loyal friends and advisors. And so, the legend of Princess Isla and the feathered crown became a cherished story in the kingdom of Eldoria, passed down from generation to generation. It was a story of bravery, wisdom, and the importance of using one's gifts for the good of all. And whenever the people looked to the sky and saw the birds flying high above, they would remember the princess who had earned their trust and learned the true meaning of wisdom.